The year is 1997. GoldenEye, a Nintendo 64 first-person shooter based on the 1995 James Bond film with the same name, is dominating the charts. I mean, come on though, who would ever want to play this? Everyone! Everyone indeed. GoldenEye 64 sold like chocolate pancakes baked on the south side of hell, and everybody wanted their slice. The appeal of shooting communists in 3D was strong enough to make late US President Richard Nixon rise from the dead and invade Vietnam for a second time. The shooty joy of GoldenEye managed to catch the attention of American director Steven Spielberg's son Max, an avid gamer. When his father wasn't busy filming the soon-to-be-released World War II film Saving Private Ryan, the two of them would bond by playing GoldenEye together. Luckily for us Medal of Honor fans, soon fate would intervene. In late 1997, then DreamWorks Interactive designer Christopher Cross was showing off a prototype of The Lost World, Jurassic Park for the PlayStation to Spielberg, who, as the co-founder of DreamWorks Interactive, happened to be his boss. The acclaimed American director wasn't terribly impressed, ironically citing that Jurassic Park was a dead license. The meeting could have ended right there, but instead of sending Christopher Cross home in shame, Spielberg instead offered a much more exciting proposal. In a 2002 interview with the PlayStation Underground, this is what Christopher Cross had to say about the encounter.
Spielberg actually has had a very strong influence, particularly from the beginning. He was actually the spark of Medal of Honor, and he was like, I'm working on this movie called Private Ryan, and I've been playing GoldenEye a lot. So, why don't you guys do World War II GoldenEye? And, it started from there.
And with those words, Medal of Honor was set into motion. But creating a fully 3D first-person shooter on the PlayStation would not be an easy task. To understand why this was such a monumental undertaking, you need to consider the hardware being used. The original PlayStation was quite powerful for 1994 when it first came out, but by 1997 it was starting to show its age. Hammering out Medal of Honor's fully 3D engine was a daunting task. All sorts of clever programming tricks had to be devised, such as limiting the amount of enemies on screen, modeling the player's weapon using as little geometry as possible, and using a short draw distance to conserve memory. While the programmers at DreamWorks Interactive were busy sorting through that headache, the rest of the team was busy trying to find a way to combine the fun first-person shooter gameplay of GoldenEye with the mythos of World War II. The limitations of the PS1 meant the developers had to improvise. Something along the lines of Saving Private Ryan just wasn't possible. After some research, DreamWorks Interactive found their solution: make a game about an OSS spy. The OSS, or Office of Strategic Services, was the precursor to the American CIA, and conducted many espionage operations on the Allied side during World War II. You played as Jimmy Patterson, a young American lieutenant who had recently been recruited to the OSS after showing that he was pretty fucking awesome at killing people. The whole American Spy Gone Wild setup gave all the events in the game plausible deniability. Jimmy very well could have been in any of the events that take place in the game, even though many are fictional in nature. This gave the team a blank slate, allowing them to give Jimmy a whole bunch of creative seek-and-destroy type objectives. It very much followed the GoldenEye type of gameplay, completing objectives while fighting off a huge army by yourself. So DreamWorks Interactive had a cool concept and a game engine to support it. But the question stands, was Medal of Honor actually any good? Yeah! Goddamn, I love this game. It just nails the feeling of being a badass World War II spy so fucking well. Man, if you thought I was just gonna shit on this game for being old and dated, you are dead wrong. I'm about to spend the next several minutes absolutely sucking this game off, so bear with me. Here are the reasons why Medal of Honor is an all-time classic. Number 1. The atmosphere. Medal of Honor wastes no time immersing the player into its world. The second the first level loads, you hear the distant roar of the plane you just jumped out of overhead, which soon gives way to the sounds of explosions and yelling in the distance. Unfazed, you press on, right up until... After that hair-raising first encounter, you press on. You spot another German on the horizon. You throw a grenade to throw him off guard, and... Hey, what the fuck? Okay, so they can do that. Slightly perturbed, you continue forward, knowing your enemy is intelligent and won't hesitate to use your own weapons against you. But all is going well. At least until the music goes fucking apeshit. Basically, fuck this creepy-ass level. But anyways, the atmosphere of this game is great. Whether you're in a bombed-out village, the icy valleys of Norway, or in a German forest, you really feel like you're a part of the world. It's all presented extremely well. Which brings me to my next segment. Number 2. Presentation. Right off the bat, the presentation is excellent, with heavy use of World War II full-motion video sequences to show that the game is indeed based on actual historical events, if perhaps loosely. The main menu is this cool pre-rendered OSS office with 3D character models roaming around. It's a nice touch. There are 7 missions in Medal of Honor, and each one begins with an FMV briefing sequence narrated by your commanding officer, the gravelly-voiced hunk Colonel Hargrove. In his sexy dulcet tones, he'll lay down the ultimate goal of the mission. Each level begins with a written description of the objectives you need to complete, and hints on how to complete them. It's pretty old school, but gets the job done as well as any high-budget cutscene can. But while the game expects you to actually read these briefs, you can probably still figure out the level for yourself if you aren't a fucking moron. And at the end of each mission, you'll get a cool black and white FMV that gives you some historical backstory to it all. While not exactly edge-of-your-seat exciting, they are interesting to watch. Overall, this game is a nicely presented package, and it's only aided by... Number 3. The graphics and animation. As stated previously, the developers had to pull off some graphical trickery to get Medal of Honor running on the hardware. They couldn't do what GoldenEye did, with its sprawling levels and massive draw distances. Essentially, the developers had to cheat by not loading most of the level at one time. Medal of Honor uses a very aggressive CD streaming technique to load geometry as you approach it. While it's initially kind of jarring that you can only see about 50 meters ahead of you at any given time, this does mean that you get higher frame rates and good level detail for what you can see. This allowed Medal of Honor to run much faster than its inspiration, which at times could be just a complete clusterfuck. Medal of Honor, on the other hand, was able to run at a solid 25 to 30 frames per second, and only dip when a lot was happening on screen. The game does have some issues with clipping and affine texture warping, but many of its contemporaries had these issues as well. But what about the animation? Thankfully, unlike many PS1 games at the time, Medal of Honor animates extremely smoothly. Aping GoldenEye's locational damage model, Medal of Honor's enemies react accordingly to getting shot in the chest, the arms, the legs, the head, and even the dick. Sometimes they'll even continue firing after they die, or inch away from you slowly while firing after falling over on their ass. Whether they're darting for cover or chucking grenades back at you, all of the animations are pleasing to the eye in their own way. But all of these cool animations would be for nothing, if not for... Number 4. The artificial intelligence. Programming effective AI is something games struggle with to this day. Nailing AI that isn't overly powerful but still challenges you isn't easy. Medal of Honor was no exception. But the team mostly prevailed. Mostly. Enemies in Medal of Honor frequently take cover, throw grenades back at you, and in general are extremely aggressive. They also won't hesitate to man a mounted machine gun and dial your fucking number if the opportunity so arises. Their extreme persistence combined with the animations they have make enemies really fun to fight. Even at times they can be less than perfect. Ha ha, stupid dog. Can't get me now, bitch! Oh, that's fucking good, man.
It's not right, but it's okay.
So these are the individual components, but how does Medal of Honor play as a whole? For all the reasons mentioned, Medal of Honor is a wonderful, fun game that defied hardware constraints to produce an incredibly memorable experience. The graphics, presentation, audio, and gameplay all seamlessly combine to provide an excellent 32-bit first-person shooter. Medal of Honor will forever remain as one of my all-time favorites, and it's a game I'll be replaying for years to come. This is GeoEchidna, and I hope you enjoyed watching.